So hi, Steve. Here we are. This is Beyond the Blend, I guess an introductory podcast introducing the lubricant market to what we think is a bit of a brand new concept for the podcast space, certainly the lubricant space more broadly. But tell me, why are we talking about the people of the lubricant space?
Now, I've had a number of decades in the lube space, right? And I've seen those people that really stand out from the crowd tend to be the more technically orientated people, right? Those folks that are around the innovation side of product formulation. You know, you see all of the conferences and expos. It's quite product orientated and technically based. What I've learned by the time I was working there are some really amazing people with some really amazing stories, but they get a bit suppressed because actually innovation, technology, product application, all of these things take over. And the people that make things happen get a little bit lost behind that story. And therefore, as we were discussing why we should, do the podcast Beyond the Blend, it was really to promote people within the industry so we can show others that actually it really is a people-orientated sector.
Well, yeah, because we hear often, don't we, that there's retention issues, there's attraction issues, there's a new talent gap, if you like. And I think if people see who aren't scientific or aren't technical, that there are so many roles, positions, characters, personalities at play. Hopefully for me, I think it's going to be a great advert for the industry moving forwards that you don't have to be a scientific or technical. Whilst they are very good, we're here to bash the technical whatsoever. In fact, I hope we get technical people involved. There are other roles at play, other people at play. And as you say, sometimes they get pushed down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's undoubted that there are challenges within the sector and there are real issues within the sector. And that plays out to the attracting talent that you mentioned at the start of that. I can't help but feel that there is a really important storytelling aspect that needs to come through. Like you say, even those guys that are wholly technical and highly technical, many of them have got a real purpose behind why they do what they do.
Yes.
And that could be sustainability. That could be, just they're fascinated about motorcycles and they want to create the best ever motorcycle oil, or with e-mobility that's going down and what happens in that space. So I think they're all personal agendas. And I guess what I've also observed a little bit is that, when you work in these organizations, it's very hard to get that individual purpose out into the market. We're very quick to hide behind or sit behind the company way of working, deferring to others to create the outbound messaging or the social media or the public face of
the brand tone of voice. We end up talking as a brand, not as a person.
Yeah, and I really hope what we get is the people listening start to see, hey, look, there is somebody there who looks and behaves and acts like me, who is achieving, really incredible things. And that's why I'm hopeful that the podcast will really resonate. If I just take some of my experiences, I think I sat in the office with you the other day, and I said, I think within my career in the lubricant space, I've now worked in 45 different countries. And I sort of think to myself, will my three girls ever have the opportunity to work in that many countries and experience that many cultures, see that many things as I have? And therefore, there's a real gratitude that I have for this sector. And that's why I personally want to give back to it. So we can see that you can create amazing experiences, great careers, and really be different and noticeable.
I think even on our travels together, the places we've been, the people we've seen and spoken to, there are some real characters.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's got a story to tell. Even if they think they're not exciting, there's something there that's really interesting, whether it's their journey into it, how they've moved from department to sectors, the mission and vision that they have for an industry, and their own ambition as well. Advice they give to others who might be struggling moving forward. I think there's going to be so many secrets that we find that otherwise might go
Yeah, and I think this isn't going to be a podcast for just those in the most senior positions, right? This is going to be a podcast for those people that actually are the doers, are the people that get things done, the people that you might not always see as the obvious star. So yeah, I'm really hopeful with the list of people that we've got already booked on, and those that I'm sure will want to come through. There will be somebody that, as I said already, looks and sounds and makes you feel that things are very, very possible.
So give us a hint about who we might be speaking with, the types of people that we've got lined up so far. Because something you said in the office while we've been planning this is you want to celebrate people of the industry. You know, you're at the other end of your career than some might be. I always get the impression you want to leave the industry in a better place than you found it. And to do that, you champion people. So tell us about some of those in your networks and those that we've reached out to who might be contributing a voice to the podcast.
Yeah, I think it is important, right? Because I think what we have the opportunity to do and it is to show the diversity in the people. I was talking to somebody on a call a little while ago, and they said all you have to do to stand out in the lubricant industry is take your tie off. I think there's this perception that we're all made in the same likeness. You know, we all sort of all have that same view. You know, certainly sometimes when you jump into rooms, you can recognize that. So what type of people? I think just showing the whole breadth and diversity. You know, there are some amazing female role models in the lubricant space, and I think that's worth celebrating. I think there are some really incredible young leaders that are driving an agenda on sustainability and the energy transition, and I think they need to have their voices heard. So whilst we won't necessarily be focusing on the sort of more political aspects of those topics, we will be diving into the people aspects of those topics, because I think that's our responsibility, and that's what I want to do. I want to show that the lubricant industry is diverse, rich, and actually if our big challenge is about attracting talent to it, let's show the talent and let's really show off the talent. So yeah, we do have some really strong people lined up all the way across product innovation, through engineering excellence, through marketing excellence, through even some sales folks that we might even talk to along the way, sales directors.
So not only there's breadth of roles in the sector, but I guess the breadth of the world. We're not just looking for English voices here. It's going to be a voice from around Europe.
Absolutely. I mean,
the US and beyond, right?
And that's what falls into the diversity.
Exactly.
We're absolutely sure. I mean, when we were talking about why this potentially is a good vehicle, you know, you were talking a little bit about podcasting, and you know, I'd say compared to me, you're an avid podcaster. So, you know, tell me about that, because I think, you know, why podcasting? Why don't we just write more blog articles?
Well, I think we've seen, haven't we? And not to labour any political points, but recently there was an election in the States that has been won and lost differently. The media has changed. The way we listen, the way we absorb, the way we research and find our information has changed. My listening to podcasts is usually in the car on the way to work. It's while I'm cooking, sometimes at home. It's while I'm out on a walk, I'm at the gym. I can consume things I'm interested in without having to sit at a desk and do so or wait for a specific slot. I can listen at convenient times, which is the beauty of podcasts. They're always around. I find conversation as a platform, conversation as a medium is much more honest than a pre-prepared newscast, for example, where it's not just question, answer. I find there's so much more, dare I say, vulnerability shared in a podcast episode with 2 or 3 people talking than there would be on an episode that is pre-scripted, pre-recorded. So I always listen out for the little secrets, little things that might not get said, things that might be said unintentionally, but that's where the magic and strength, I think, lies in a podcast. Even when people don't think they're very good at talking, they've got a heck of a story to tell. And once you get people in that honest space, some really good stuff can happen.
So that's why you said we're not having a script for this chat, which you felt comfortable, right? And very interesting that that's the case. But it's almost like this on-demand stuff, you know. Just really funny. I was sat yesterday before we had dinner, and my daughter had a podcast on. And she was listening to it not through her earbuds, but she had it on 1.5 times speed.
Oh, this is a thing. Yeah.
I told her I was fearful that she's going to start speaking at 1.5 times. I can't hear her anyway when she mumbles, but anyway.
Yeah, this is an actual thing. However, the human mind can consume at 1.5 times speed, I don't know. I don't listen at 1.5 speed. So yeah, the versatility in podcasts, I think, is huge. I think there's potential in this industry for it to help a lot of people, which is the intention of it in its first place. So hopefully bring a bit of vibrancy, a bit of fun, engagement to what are important conversations underneath it all.
Fantastic. Okay, well, I think that's probably all we wanted to chat about today.
I think so.
All right. Nice one, Rob.
This is Beyond the Blend. See you soon.